I am having an absolute nightmare trying to do this really quick blog. What I've decided to do, I've made some notes. Instead of rambling on about algorithms, keyword stuffings, value of the page, SERPs, all these different sectors of the internet, Google, Hangouts, social networking, metadata, what they know about you, why they advertise, how they advertise, just so much information that I've learnt over the years. I wanted just to talk about one thing for this blog and be as quick as I can. I've just wasted a total hour rambling on about everything because I'm so passionate about it and it's really interesting stuff to me. Um, I like to simplify it to pass the information on to yourself so you can get your money back or get some justice if somebody's ripped you off online. So this is just about canyoutrustthem.com. I've got lots of information to tell you, but we're going to do one blog, two blog, three blog, four blog, covering everything: how to make money, how to scale your business, how to rank at the top, all the tricks, self-reviews. There's all sorts of things that I think you'll be really interested in knowing. Now, can you trust them? I wrote. It's sort of like people power in a way. I mean, it is. It's sort of a Groupon. I initially did. I won't tell you its name because I don't want the two to be associated and damage the other business, because there's a lot of people out there that really hate Can You Trust Me because they've had to settle with the complainant or about a business. The algorithm is, I wrote it and I told you, well, sorry, I'm explaining to you why I wrote it. I wrote it because I had a business called Griffin Finance. You can see here on Company's House, set up in 1998. I actually did it a few months before that because I was testing it to make sure there was a market, a product there. It was negotiating debts down with credit card companies to freeze your interest and get a really good deal that you could pay. Instead of paying £300 a month interest, we'd freeze the interest and pay £100 a month, settle your debt, and then you could start afresh without having any negative impact on your credit rating, which is a really big deal these days, mortgages, loans, etc. So now I'm really, really watching this watch. I'm going to try and keep it to 10 minutes. Can you trust them? How does it work? It works, well, it tells you. So instead of rambling through it all, it's free. We don't collect data and sell it on to somebody else like a lot of other companies, because it's worth a lot of money. So we don't ask you for it. We just ask you for some very basic details so you can get settled. Why I wrote it quickly is a very important factor in this, because I don't get anything out of it other than what I feel is justice. A couple of partners, I took a neighbour on and his friend who wanted a job. Can You Trust Them was wrote because I trusted two people that I should never have trusted. I won't get into fiduciary duties of a director, share voting rights, everything I'm going to talk about next, because it just takes too long. But I gave them while I was overseas, and they threatened to leave, and in the end I gave them equal shares, which 66% actually outvoted me. I left because when leave I fell out with these guys because we were deregulated the VAT, Griffin Finance, which I changed the name to Harrington Brooks when they came on board a year, 14, 15, 16 months later. And we got all this money back from the VAT office, and I said, let's give the VAT back to the people that are in debt, because it would have been, I mean, just being honest with you, two reasons. One, it would make their life a heck of a lot easier. Two, it would have been great PR, the fact that we'd given all this money back and then reduced their payments by the 20%. But Nick Holmes and Miles Grady went on charging, they said including VAT. So you should have reduced it by, your 20% rather than keep charging it. So morally, it was totally wrong. Legally, it's classed as what's called just enrichment, which is, in legal terms, you can keep the money. but morally, I think it's completely wrong and it shouldn't be legal. They've paid VAT, you should give it back to the person who's paid the VAT, simple as that. So we had an argument. They came to me, they said, look, because of this issue, because of you want to make it bigger, and which I did, which is true, we want to keep it small, we're very happy, we're earning a good wage, and let's just buy you out. So based on the figures that they gave me, incredibly naive, and I didn't really have the time I was actually working at the time with the federal government, one of the sheriff's office, one of the ex-FBI guys, and it was really, really exciting on mobile phone apps, but that's another story. So this was very, very secondary to me. So when they came to me and said, look, we're earning a few $100,000 a year with a factor of 5. A factor is when you multiply the annual profits to the value, which makes the value of the company, which divided by 3 is, turn that off, is the value that you would take for your shares in the company. So mine works out at about £1.5 million. The true figure was £20 million. So not long after I accepted the 1.5 or 1.35, it was all over the newspapers that it went for 20 million plus, this VAT back and the VAT going forward. So initially, what I was told would devalue the company at exactly what I took. Obviously that was incredibly not the case, and I saw later on they'd taken on people I didn't even know existed, such as brothers. They'd set companies up that I didn't know existed. That all comes with fiduciary duties, and actually, let's call it, in my opinion, absolute criminal behaviour, fraudulent, not just deception. There's a million and one criminal acts there. Let's call it my opinion again, just in case of the litigious reasons that one of them is not quite accurate. So I said, oh, can you trust them? What they did, they'd use the money from the buyout to set up Pay Matters, which is an umbrella company. Miles Grady worked for, I think it was Cooperative Insurance at the time, when he came to me for a job. Nicholas Holmes was working for a mobile phone shop or a mobile phone company. So they came along and said, oh, we'd really like to work with you, any chance of, getting a job, maybe being partners, like for 25% each, so I could go off and go back to America. Thought they'd be very happy with that. They were. A few months later, they said, look, we're going to set up on our own unless we get more shares. I immediately agreed because it would be a case of having to come home and manage the whole thing myself, and I didn't have the time or the energy to do either. So I gave them 33% each, which equated to 66% between them. They had equal voting rights, which was stupid again. Obviously now I know that you don't give them equal voting rights, you give them, let's call them Class B, which they are classified as well. And they would have no voting rights, but 33% each of the profit, which would have been fair. So I can manage, and as I have been doing and made it successful, they just came along and took control of the company. My own fault. Trust is a real, problem in business. Don't trust anybody. Get it all in writing and get a lawyer, which is it's a really hard pill to swallow sometimes because you're paying for common sense, but the small print can lose you millions, as I found out. So, or not make you millions, either or, pretty much the same. Why I wrote it? First of all, it's totally free. Don't sell data. Don't charge you a penny. I finance it myself. Could be something to use. In my case, it was person. It could have been a company, but person, Miles Grady, Nicholas Holmes. Just pop it in that box there. Claim value, my case was an awful lot of money. And then the claim details. What happened to you? Put as much in, this is very important, as much in there as you possibly can. As much, addresses, VAT numbers, registered addresses, PO numbers, telephone numbers, everything you can think of. Names, managers, any reference to that company you can possibly, it's got to be true, you can't just make it up. And what will happen, without going into too much detail, it will consolidate into sort of one huge complaint with everybody else, which gives it so much power. So when you type in, I've got to do this quickly because it gets out of hand talking about everything, but if you type in Miles Grady today, right now, it's 19th, Thursday, you see Pay Matters, at the top it says Pay Matters, Miles Grady, The Truth, Pay Matters, Whistleblower, I spoke to somebody within the company, all sorts of information there, comes up at number 1, because it's linked to Can You Trust Them, and for other reasons too. Also here, Business Forum, so pretty much we take over Mr. Grady. Even these images are Can You Trust Them, pretty much everyone but 2, 3. You'll also see legal responses. Google have removed 2 results. Looking into it, you'll find it's just a case of legal. It's just, well, I've got to be careful here, but if a lawyer makes enough noise, some people tend to want to, make them go away. But always look here at the bottom. If you see a complaint or several have been removed, look into it, see why. It tells you all about it. And if it doesn't, that's an even bigger telltale. Don't look at anything reviewed by their own company, or themselves. See Miles Grady here, Miles Grady there, Miles Grady on Facebook. I've even seen Miles Grady with the Rubik's Cube. Miles Grady does walks in the park. Anything he can possibly do or they can do to push reviews or to push complaints down, they will. And we're running out of time already. I wish I had longer. I'll do it in another blog actually. It shows you how people manipulate Google sort of legally by pushing complaints down by blogging about themselves. But Can You Trust Them is very powerful. Hence why we come at the top. Now, there's one I want to show you which is pretty amazing. I don't know what the right word is to use, but Trustpilot, very reputable company. Now, trust, does it come up there? Yeah, comes at number 1. Google rank it very highly, obviously. Trustpilot number 1. Now, if we type in here, Trustpilot Pay Matters, which is the company they set up with the money that they got from the sale of my company, you'll see right at the top, canyoutrust.com. Just above it, you've got Trustpilot themselves, which you would expect because they're also a big company, but we are number 2. We in fact are on every single page from number 1, the top anyway, no matter what you search for. So Trustpilot, you see here, 7.6 out of 10, 12 reviews. Umbrella, this is. Now what they did, when I set up Can You Trust Them, the reason why I did this whole business was to show who Miles Grady and Nicholas Holmes really were behind the face of Pay Matters and Umbrella. I came across this, Trustpilot, 7.6. Not a bad review. I mean, anything 7 and above is quite good. 8 and above, great. They're not far off 8. But when you click on it, you get 2.71, which is horrific. This is like stay away at all costs. Now, the first 2 here are 1 star, and there's many 1 stars. I spent about 6 months as customer, and he goes on to say, absolute nightmare. So, how they've got the first page 7 to 8 and the ranking of 2.7 actually within the site, I'm looking into. I haven't yet, but I will do. But something is very wrong there, and I'm going to look into it. Now you'll find all because they've got some 5-star reviews to bump that up on the first page. I've carefully reviewed these. Now we've got a 1 star, then we go straight to all these 5s. All on the same date nearly. February. All that was something within a couple of days. 19th of February, 21st of February, 19th of February, 19th of February, 20th of January, separate, not in the same basket, 1 star. So something very wrong, but it just shows you cannot trust, well in this case you can't trust Trustpilot, which goes to, doesn't say much, does it? But like I say, you type in Miles Grady and we come number 1.